Hello, welcome to Get Your Mind On. I'm Lori Stohs. Vanilla or chocolate? Should I quit my job or should I stay? Should I buy a new car or should I stay with one I have? Should I leave this relationship or should I stay in it? Should we move or should we stay? All those things are decisions you make every day. Now you may think those are some big decisions that I just listed, but we make lots and lots of decisions every day. So this week we're going to talk about your approach to decision making. So when I say that, do you kind of cringe and go, oh, I'm one that really doesn't like to make decisions? Or are you one that says, you know what, there's tons of decisions every day and I flow through them pretty quickly? We all approach decision making differently. As we've really been thinking about our strengths and how we really approach situations, today when we think about the decision making, I want you to think about your approach based off who you are. Now, many times we maybe think about our past and our maybe memories from bad decisions we've made or good decisions. We maybe think of emotions that have been caused by decisions, maybe not necessarily even our decisions. Could be other people's decisions that have been placed upon us. Could be maybe biases in the workplace or in our society today about certain decisions. All of those things may play into the decisions that we make every day. So when you think about yourself, let's first look at you and say, when I think about me with my decisions, how do I make those? You know, if you're one that has a lot of confidence and maybe have an intuitive sense about yourself, those decisions might be pretty quickly. Some of us have that self-assurance. Some of us have that activator. Some of us have that natural confidence that we're able to kind of make decisions move forward very quickly. Some of us may be more analytical. We maybe have more of those strengths that allow us to think through things and process things. And we need processing time, like analytical, maybe deliberative, that's a little bit cautious. If you're naturally a cautious person, decision making will take you a lot longer. You might be one that keeps asking, do I need proof? What's the proof? Let's just use an example of buying a new car. And when you think about when you're buying, or maybe just a large purchase, you may want to step back and say, how much detail do I need? Now, a lot of us need to make decisions by gathering information. If we're buying a large purchase, we may say, we need to do our research. And you'll do the research, but how we go about that research may be different. I may do my research, which may mean I'm going to ask lots of people about their experience with it. Some of those of you who are very relational, you're going to ask others about what's your experience? Do you like this? Do you like that? I see that on Facebook all the time when people say, hey, I'm thinking about this. What do you think? Give me your opinion. Okay, so you're in that gathering mode, but how you gather that information may be different. Some may ask people. Some of you go straight to searching online, and you love to dig in deeper and go into online and do some research around, give me some knowledge, let me gather some information. So kind of that input learner type of strengths. You just want to gather information. Then some of you go even a little deeper to say, gathering that information is good, but then I need to get some more details. So what does that information that I'm gathering look like? For some of you, it needs to be data. It needs to be proof. I need to see how many people gave it 5 stars if you're making a decision around who to go see for a physician or some of those kinds of things that they rate their experiences. It may be when you're buying that car, that proof of cost and mileage and all those kinds of things. How long will it last? What's the safety ratings? All those kinds of bits of information. So there's different ways of, even when we go through that gathering information process, some of us do it differently. Like I said, some through people, some through data, some through just gathering. So you really have to think about, when you're making that decision, what you need. How big is the decision? How much information do you need? Where are you going to get it? What kind of information? So that's all just kind of the process. And then we have the making the decision, right? So when we think about our strengths and we think about making decisions, going back to that confidence, some of us just process quickly. Now, when we think about thinking of things, right, doing that research, some people are really good at gathering the research, but then they still can't make the decision, which I call sorting. So you have all this information, and how do you sort then to make the decision? And those are some of those strengths are a little bit more about strategic and maximizer and arranger and achiever, being able to make the decision and move on. You really need to think about, when you have that information, how do you know what decision to make with what information and how to sort? So let's say you get to that point, now what? Sometimes we can't make that decision, so we have to sit and think about, how do I go about it? Well, number one, it's usually best to remove any emotion from that decision. So sometimes we get too emotional. What will people think? How will this affect me? So remove the emotion and really just think about what decision I'm making and what does it mean. Ask experts. Continue to ask people about it. Do your work if you need more information, or asking others to help you sort once you get it down to the final decision-making process. You, at the end of the day, are going to have to be the one that makes it, because you're the one that's going to live with the decision. So a lot of time people want somebody else to make decisions for them. You're just going to have to make the decision at the end of the day. And then the last piece of that is think about the worst case scenario. So what's the worst case scenario if you did something that you didn't like? I have a friend who made a huge investment and sold his home, bought a new home, and he doesn't like it. He doesn't like the neighborhood, doesn't like where he lives. That's a big decision. But at the end of the day, the worst case scenario is put the house up for sale and move. So you really have to look at that, and you might go, well, that's a pretty big deal. Well, it is a big deal, but you have to really look at how are you feeling about it? What is it affecting in your life? What's the time frame? So there's so many decisions that you want to make and need to make. So you really just have to step back and say, what is the worst case scenario? So that's a lot of decision-making process right there. And then the other thing is you think about, how can I gain confidence in decisions? So when we look at the business side, I've worked with lots of leaders who are sometimes struggle with decision making in the workplace. And we think about those decisions, should I keep the person? Should I let them go? Should we invest in this? Is it time to hire new people? Should we really move into a different market, segmentation? Should we introduce a new product? All of those things. That's a lot. Those are big decisions. And so it depends on how fast you're making those decisions and what your budget is and those kinds of things. So when you look at those decisions, I kind of guide them to do a couple things. Just be an observer first and list all the decisions that you've made recently, or that you need to make, and look at the patterns of your decision making. So sometimes some of us make some things very quickly and some things not so quickly. So just observe yourself, keep a journal of what are the decisions I've made, and then go back and say, gosh, look at all that I've made and look how successful they are. Or here's the decisions that I'm struggling with, and how can I really get more guidance or make those better. So I think first you need to step out of it and really think about how you go about that decision-making process. When we're in it, it's too difficult for us to do. So step out of it and really observe your decision-making process, and then hopefully you can see some patterns of things that are easy for you and some things that are struggling for you. Let me just give you an example. It might be when it's affecting people that's a hard decision for you. It might be when it's affecting, when it's not affecting people and it's just a decision within a process or something, that might be easier for you. So that's just an example of that. So let's talk about positive charge. So for positive charge this week, one, when you think about decision making, what's your instant feeling? Are you excited about it, or you kind of cringe upon it? Two is what is the way you go about processing that information and decision making? Are you an instant decision maker? Do you need lots of information and gathering? Are you analytical or intuitive? What's your style? And three, what are some of those decisions that you find yourself maybe are easy to make, and some of those that are a little bit more difficult? So watch your patterns and observe how your decision-making patterns exist. We make so many decisions every day, and really when we think about those decisions, they happen more than we know. We make a decision the minute we wake up to decide, are we hitting that snooze button or not, to that big decision at the end of the day. So take some time and learn about your style of decision making. Also, another thing is think about others around you and their decision making styles, because sometimes between the two and working together with others, we sometimes get a little conflict from decision making differences. Thanks for joining us today, and remember to get your mind on.